Well, I have been talking about it prematurely for a couple of episodes now, but we are finally here. Today, I am so excited to announce that we are going to be building the Apothecary shop. And if you've been tuning into my previous videos, you'll know exactly who owns this particular Apothecary shop. And that is the one and only Apothecary Todd from The Sims 1 Making Magic. And let me tell you, I got some cool lore that goes along with it as well, that I have interpreted up until this time as SimCity is the city that it is now. So let's get into it. Now, for those of you just joining me and just discovering this channel and this series, my name is Michael, and I want to welcome you to Sovereign Gaming in Life Sims, the YouTube channel where I build worlds, lots, and also share my thoughts on video games in the life simulation gaming space. Now, if you are just discovering my channel as well, I have been tackling on this mammoth project that I have been building this pretty much this entire time. I created this huge world in the Sims 3's Create a World tool, and we are indeed back in SimCity, and we are continuing to build out the Old Town neighborhood. Now, we have been making a lot of progress in terms of it. So far we have built 2 apartment lots, technically speaking. There's also a bakery and a private venue, and last episode we just finished a diner, and also we can't forget the Old Town station in the train yards there, that's just kind of sitting above the actual train tracks that I added in the Create a World tool. So yeah, we've been making a lot of progress here, and it has certainly been a journey, but it's nice to kind of see how everything is coming together. Now, the Old Town area has been a place that is obviously influenced by the French Quarter of New Orleans, which was also serving as inspiration for the Old Town in The Sims 1. And so that was inspiration that I wanted to continue to use, and even though we did kind of detract from that a little bit, I am returning back to it right here, right now, for Apothecary Todd's Apothecary. And that is indeed what it is actually called. Just a little play on words, a little dumb humor there that I felt was certainly needed to just be injected, just something a little whimsical to just kind of keep the intrigue and the magic of Old Town going on. With Apothecary Todd's Apothecary being present in the SimCity world as I build it, that does suggest the presence of Magic Town. And yes, there will be more revealed on that at a later time. But in SimCity, with the way that things went down since the Sims 1 time and all of that, what I've suggested here is that since Apothecary Todd was the most present NPC you can find in Magic Town just by default, since he appeared on so many community lots, to me it kind of suggested that he was more of a businessman and more of someone who is going to actually own the businesses and sell them and all of that. And that's a big part of the story that I really wanted to tell here, is that Apothecary Todd is in the process of selling off Clowntastic Land or Cold Wind Meadow. You know, those lots that had those really creepy clown roller coasters? Well, I personally love those lots. But yeah, the idea here is that the owner of those lots was really Apothecary Todd, and with the business now moving into SimCity, he wanted to sell those lots from Magic Town and to relocate a lot of his businesses into SimCity. And this is where he kind of finds himself, is just in Old Town, where he was able to really establish his business and all of that. And so with that said, he would really just have to kind of pick and choose where he would want to move his apothecary business into after selling the Clowntastic Land and all of that. And so because Old Town is Old Town, you only have so many options to select from, being heritage buildings. And so that's what we are really building today, is just getting back into the groove of building some heritage buildings that are inspired by the French Quarter of New Orleans. And unfortunately, I'm actually neutral on what I'm about to say here in terms of how I actually feel about the game mechanic. But in the Sims 3 Late Night, and I guess technically in World Adventures, we got introduced to the idea of hidden rooms. And the way that you would do hidden rooms is you would just place like one of those gray orbs into a room, it would hide it, it would just block it out as you're playing the game, and you as the player just kind of ignored it as like empty space or into the vacuum and all that. And the thing is just like when you're building apartments or you're building commercial lots like this, or you wanted to really want to convey that there are multiple buildings attached to one building here. The thing is that you have to use that hidden room marker in order to actually hide the other rooms. Otherwise, you have to make all of the other rooms technically playable or interactable in some sort of way. And I really didn't want that for this. And what's unfortunate, just as a game mechanic, is just that we're not able to have like attached buildings, because that would be a game changer. And the look and feel that I really wanted to go for here was I really wanted a set of attached buildings that are used for different purposes. And what those other purposes are, I have no idea. But today we're just building the elixir shop in this particular lot owned by Apothecary Todd. And the reason why I felt like it suited Old Town the best is because New Orleans has always got that spooky feel to it, and I really kind of wanted to add in a little bit of that look and feel. I mean, Miss Lucille is known to be a psychic, and so I even added in a little room for her to do like palm readings in, or like crystal ball readings. So, you know, it's certainly like a theme that is certainly prevalent throughout Old Town. And with Apothecary Todd's backstory of selling like Clowntastic land and Coldwind Meadows, is that, you know, when Magic Town eventually like dies off and becomes you know, and changes over and really gentrifies, and I'll get more into that kind of lore as we actually get to those builds later on in this series. You know, there has to be a place for magic, I suppose, if I really want to be cheesy about it. And that place in this case is going to be Old Town. So a lot of like what was sold off and what was changed from Magic Town migrated over into Old Town. And I feel like it's the appropriate home for it as well. Just as we really never got a story as to like what happened to Magic Town after The Sims 1, in my opinion. And no, apartment life from The Sims 2 doesn't explain it too well, because it felt like they just kind of added in magic in there as like a second thought, but whatever. In this SimCity lore, the idea is just that Magic Town is gentrifying and it's relocating a lot of its assets and a lot of its functions into Old Town, which is something that I've really enjoyed. I have been particularly excited about this build because it not only helps to tie in Magic Town and Old Town and to create a solid relationship as to what's going on there, but it, like, the architectural style itself finally kind of comes about. Like, we have those 4 buildings that I purchased that I built before, and those buildings really they really took a lot of inspiration from that one particular building in the New Orleans French Quarter area. It kind of looks like a Teamster's office. Like, it would have probably have been used back in the day for more industrial purposes, whereas this set of buildings here really helps to bring into the fact that it is very much inspired by the French Quarter of New Orleans, because we have those balconies, and the balconies really help to make it come alive, and the shutters have certainly made their way back in, and same with like certain doors and window choices that I've made have really helped to communicate and convey that this is indeed like a heritage neighborhood, and that it won't be changing anytime soon, and that store owners will be renovating the insides until, you know, the end of time, because nobody really wants to fight the heritage communities to really redevelop these. And so that's really like that kind of story of the neighborhood, I feel, is starting to be very clear, and it doesn't really become very clear until we finish up this little build here, and even the next build as well, which is very interesting. I will just say that I'll tease more about it at the end there. I'll let you guys know where we go from here. But yeah, like I mentioned before, unfortunately, like, because we can't build attached buildings in The Sims 3, I decided to make the buildings attached and just dropped in some hidden room markers and just called it a day. And I mentioned a little bit before, and I will expand upon this now, that I have mixed feelings for it. Like, I'm actually team neutral in terms of whether I like that concept or not. Because on one hand, I get it, we don't have the ability to actually construct attached buildings in The Sims 3, so what do you do when you are not able to do that? Well, that's when you move into the idea of using that hidden room marker, and I feel like that kind of helps to like allow these builds to be possible. If I remember, in The Sims 2, there was no such thing as a hidden room marker, so you couldn't really you couldn't really do like attached builds like this without having to actually build out the insides of those buildings for community lots and whatnot. Now, it's been a while since I played The Sims 2, so I could be very wrong in terms of what I remember here, so feel free to drop a comment below if that's not the case. But if my memory serves me correctly, there were no hidden markers, you still couldn't build attached buildings. Sure, they had apartment life, but that was for residential only. So when you wanted to make like a commercial lot that has attached buildings on it, like what do you do in The Sims 2? Well, there weren't any options, if I remember correctly, unless you actually went out to build out those additional attached buildings. But that's a lot of work, honestly speaking, and that's kind of why I like the hidden room markers in the context of The Sims 3, is because it saves you from doing a lot of the work. And yes, I even still put in some wallpapers and floors, but that's just because, you know, if you put the walls up, you can sort of like see them, if I remember correctly. A lot of my points here are really dependent upon my memory, but I digress. Yeah, I like when it comes to these attached buildings, and this will be a continued theme that I do throughout, is that I do use that hidden room marker to allow myself to actually build an attached building style. So yeah, I feel like it has its use. It was perfect for The Sims 3. How this kind of a concept would be applied to future life simulation games, like, you know, maybe Paralives or the other one that I do a lot of videos on, Life by You. My god, that's embarrassing. I've got like 40 videos and I forgot the title. All right, so yeah, like how those games actually handle attached buildings remains to be seen. I wouldn't be mad if a hidden room marker feature made its way into like a future iteration, because it's a lot of building, honestly, when it comes to attached buildings. But in the same breath, you know, if you're really talking about the next generation of life simulation games, then you really do need to address like how attached buildings or how mixed use buildings are dealt with in your game. And that's just kind of what I feel here, is that like I wouldn't necessarily be mad, I would just be a little disappointed if they went with the hidden room marker strategy going forward for a gameplay feature. Back to the build. So as you'll see, like I play a lot around with red colors, and that was something that really came up in my research when I was looking for references for like old apothecary shops and all that, because that was one of the things that I searched up for. And I really wanted something that was very that felt very medieval in a way, and so I was really looking for that like red color scheme that was going with it. And yes, that is indeed a hidden bookcase, and we will certainly get more into that in just a second here. But yeah, I really wanted the apothecary shop itself to be very small. I don't feel like there needs to be a whole lot going on in the actual shop part itself that is accessible to the public, but I also wanted it to feel kind of like dusty and very old. Like you go in there and it just smells like old books, and that's really the look and feel I was going for with this one here. Is just like it's just like Apothecary Todd has been planning this for a long time. He's been planning to sell out Cold Wind Meadows and Clowntastic Land for a long time, and he's been slowly building this elixir shop one bookcase at a time. And yeah, it is something that was something very considered here. And by the way, Apothecary Todd is a magical sim in The Sims 1, so the fact that he's still around and still alive and all that just kind of speaks to how magical he is. And yes, I do kind of address the other NPCs as well, so don't worry about them being missed out on all of the fun. So yeah, I really love how the storefront really turned out. I felt like the tills and like the really the Sims 3 supernatural stuff really came in handy here. In fact, like you can't even have this lot without the Sims 3 supernatural. So it really came through in terms of adding a lot of the decorations that I needed to have here. And one thing that I did want to mention is that I really wanted to convey and tell the story here that there's a lot more going on in the back room than there is in the front. And with that, it's kind of like Apothecary Todd just kind of lets you shop in the actual official shopping area open to the public, but in the back, he's got a lot more secrets going on there. So you've got that hidden bookcase that leads to rooms that I guess other people wouldn't be allowed to go into and all of that. And yeah, there's just like a lot more mystery about the elixir shop here. It's a lot more shady and you know, spooky, and it really just kind of plays upon those themes. Like if you thought that the little reading room in Miss Lucille's bakery was kind of, you know, a little spooky, well, this is taking it to the next level. And we'll get a little more into that as well, and as I explained and as I build it. But yeah, it's very much like that medieval shop that's been here since, you know, since people don't remember. People don't remember how long it's been here. They just know that it's been here for a long time. And, you know, there's a lot of rumors and intrigue that go around it, and the back of the shop really confirms that. One thing that I kept in mind when actually building out this lot is that there is indeed a specific difference between the rooms that employees would have access to versus what Apothecary Todd has access to. And that's why the hidden bookcase exists there, because he doesn't want anybody going upstairs after the elixir shop closes for the night and his employees go home and all that. He can just do his own thing, open up his bookcase and go upstairs and all that. As you'll see on screen there, I would have dropped in that cauldron, and we do indeed drop in the alchemy station as well, which has a really old book on it. It's kind of given me Necronomicon vibes. Not too sure if I said that right, but no, I threw it upstairs as well eventually. But yeah, I really wanted to convey here that his staff room is very, like, his staff room reveals some secrets, but then his upstairs reveals all of the secrets. So in the staff room, like, what we start to do is, of course, we've got the standard toilets and all that, and like just a little staff area for people to take breaks in. But there's also like a little cooking station to cook a couple of ingredients. I mean, one thing about running businesses and all that, and this is not something I have necessarily firsthand experience in, would like to one day, but you know, one thing about running a business is that if you can't walk away from your business and have it run itself, then you're really, you know, you've got a ball and chain pretty much to your own business there. And it's why a lot of small business owners, you know, why it's hard for small business owners out there is just that, you know, your business is everything, and if it's not running, then, you know, you're not making a living and you're not really striving for your dreams and all that. So, you know, I really wanted to kind of bring that philosophy into this build as well, and that Apothecary Todd has to, you know, get people to sign some NDAs, but he can't like give away all the secrets to his trade. And yeah, that's really kind of why the back rooms exist the way that they do, is that he would probably get his employees to like cook a couple of ingredients and like prepare a couple of components to an elixir or a potion or to a perfume. And then he would finish it up in the upstairs for the potions and stuff that required more controversial ingredients. And yes, there are some controversial ingredients, and it's kind of hinted throughout the build here. Again, I really just wanted to suggest things. like in the bottom level here. I just kind of wanted to suggest that there's a lot more going on than what meets the eye. That's why you'll see those jars of those organisms in formaldehyde. You'll see certain organisms out in the front to kind of get the people intrigued, but then you'll see like the alien and the freezer bunny in the back that regular Sims or regular people would not exactly agree with. So yeah, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than there are in front of it, and I just really wanted to convey that, and that there are different levels. Like there's the employee level, there's also the Apothecary Todd level. So yeah, I felt that was very successfully done here, and I was very happy with the way that I had all those conveyed. To be quite honest, on one hand, I really sort of regret giving so much room to the spiral staircase, but that bookshelf, you guys, it is kind of a pain in the butt to actually get to function properly. And yeah, it had to be given to a bigger room, which just leads to the spiral staircase. And I would rather have, like, if it would function properly, as in like open and all of that, I would rather have it be like a small cramped space, like only like a 2x2 or even a 3x2 room. But because it's the bookcase, and because for some reason it needs all four of those wall squares to function properly, it had to be placed the way that it had to be placed, and I just had to design around it. So unfortunately, like, I wish I could have done that differently there. But I was happy with the way that the layout turned out, and I really wanted to bring like elements of cooking into it. And if you've played The Sims 3 and if you've edited on community lots before, you'll know that certain kitchen items will actually be banned, I guess, just not available is really the word I was looking for. They'll just not be available for you, and that was all right for me, because I really wanted to drop in the granny's what was it called? It's the one where you can make jam and preserves out of. It's like the Granny's Cannery, if I remember correctly. It came with the with the high tea set, the one that had the tea table and the water mill object as well. Great set, by the way. I love those objects. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of give the ability to cook and all that in there. And you know, now that I'm just kind of thinking about it, I should probably lock the arch doors so that it locks for all Sims. Because I know that knowing Sims and all that, they'll all be throughout the entire shop. They won't stick around in the designated public area that I want them to. But yeah, this shop was certainly something that was something that I really wanted to have a lot of fun with and use a lot of details with, which is why this episode is actually longer, even though yeah, it's a longer episode this time around, because a lot of detail went into it just to really tell the story that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, etc., etc. When I go to think about who would actually work in Apothecary Todd's shop under Apothecary Todd, it would have to be Sims that would either look up to him or want to be alchemists themselves, or Sims that just, you know, that are just supernatural fans. And you know, I feel like the creepiness of Apothecary Todd's apothecary is just permeates throughout. But yeah, when it came to designing the employee spaces and all that, yeah, I wanted to add in like a little bit of cooking elements here and there, as in your cooking ingredients. But I also wanted to kind of make things a lot more accessible. So that's why the winery just kind of comes into play here. You'll see me put in the barrels and eventually the World Adventures nectar making machine there. And you know, in my head I imagine that Apothecary Todd would be creating recipes for absolutely everything here. Like, you put in a little bit of alien bits, and then you've got some wine, and you cook it all up as an employee, and then hand him the jar to you know, to add some more secret ingredients to from upstairs. So yeah, that's really the lore of all of that. And it also, like, with the wine making and the nectar making and all that, it just also pays tribute to, you know, the 20s and the prohibition there. Like, we've had some I've been very gentle with the theme of prohibition and, you know, smuggling alcohol and all of that. And so in this particular build, it's a lot more predominant, as in Apothecary Todd like bought this place, and when you know it, there's a wine cellar that he can use, and there's a nectar maker and all of that. Or maybe he purchased the nectar maker, who knows. But yeah, that was kind of the idea here. And also, like, something that I kind of kept in the back of my mind is that if anybody wanted to create Apothecary Todd themselves, who owned this store, what they would probably have to do is, well, they would have to collect the money, because owning stores in Sims 3 is not a big deal. But like, there's no additional gameplay that comes with it. You just, you know, buy the lot, collect your money, and call it a day. And but here I really wanted to like give additional function to it. Like, maybe Apothecary Todd has this store and he owns it, but maybe he's actually living in the docks, like on a houseboat, and so he has to come into his own store to actually earn skills and all that, like to create nectars and to do that kind of thing. So yeah, that was kind of the idea here, is just that whoever owns this store, whether they're Apothecary Todd or another alchemist, they have all of the means and all of the skill objects necessary to actually train right in their store directly. So it actually gives them a real purpose to be in their store, in their own store, other than, you know, just blindly collecting money whenever the week passes, or however that works. so yeah, I really wanted to give like another sense of purpose to this place, other than just being some sort of a back room that, you know, players actually just don't quite care about. And that's kind of what I decided to go with. It's just like, as long as your sim can skill up here, they have a reason to be here. And as we move into the upstairs, like, you'll see me actually drop in a Murphy bed, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's a Murphy bed. And you'll see that there's a place to sleep, so you can technically like sleep over there. Now, I haven't done enough playtesting to know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure that if you own the store, you don't get kicked out after hours. But if not, then the bedroom serves there as a place for comfort. Like, who knows, maybe you send your sim to the elixir shop, and you know, the owner of the elixir shop you send your sim owner of the elixir shop, let me try that again, and they're just dead tired from whatever they've been doing. They just need a quick little nap. Well, there's a place that they can go to have that quick little nap, even if they can't sleep overnight at this lot. So yeah, a lot of thought went into it in terms of like how it functions, as well as like the story that I wanted to convey. And as we move upstairs, like, you can tell like things are getting more intense in terms of like how spooky and creepy this place actually is. I mean, just in the employees areas alone, you already have like employees that are working with aliens and like making them into preserves or whatever, or maybe they're putting them into the formaldehyde jars. Who knows? But I mean, that's more like suggested than anything. In the game, you can't actually do that. I wish though, maybe there's a custom animation for that that I could find somewhere, or I could design in, you know, maybe Life by You, if that game even allows me to do that. Anyways, I'm getting a little off topic here. The processes of actually synthesizing ingredients gets a lot more intense as we get up to the upper levels, and that's really why Apothecary Todd has blocked it off and made it a secret, and that only he can work with it, because, you know, there's some actual dangerous stuff going on there. The cauldron isn't dangerous. I don't think it is anyways. I haven't really played a lot with the cauldron, so I'm not very well versed with it. I'm actually not very well versed with alchemy skill growing in The Sims 3 anyways, but I just know of the different objects that are associated with it. Anyways, by more intense, we have that cauldron that is placed upstairs. We also have that alchemy station that you read the book, the big book, and gain your skills and learn recipes from, which is a very suspicious book. Like I said, it looks like the Necronomicon, and I don't ever search that up, by the way, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's a huge tome anyways, so who knows. But yeah, I also put in the cow plant, actually, the actual cow plant in here, to suggest that perhaps he's making ingredients based off, using other Sims life elixirs. The cow plant was always like a fun little object that made its way in The Sims 2, and the cow plant certainly has its place in time, and I felt that its place was here. Now, don't get me wrong, I do plan on actually placing the cow plant in other builds. Like, I might place it in a mansion build whenever I get around to doing the Goth mansion, for example. Or I might place it somewhere else in like the Magic Town build that I will eventually get to make. And Magic Town might be a little ways off. It's kind of hard to say right now at this time, just because I am working on a few things for the Magic Town stuff, so just kind of bear with me there. But yeah, there's also the chemistry set, and that has a tendency to explode when you're trying to discover new potions there. And I felt like the chemistry set just really made a lot of sense when it came to an elixir shop and like what you would need as ingredients. Even though I'm pretty sure that potions from the chemistry set are not required for any of the ingredients, I would imagine that you would need to actually, use it and all that. And there was also like some movie stuff props that I really thought made sense for the upstairs as well. But yeah, that's gonna about do it for this episode here. If like I always say, if the tours aren't already playing, then feel free to stick around for the tours. I do give you guys some final shots of how it all turns out. In the next episode, we are actually going to be working on something that you might not have expected, and that would actually be a fire station. I feel like there are a lot of beautiful heritage fire station buildings out there, and there was one that I found that I took inspiration from, and I'm very excited for that build because, well, let me just say it this way, it was a bit of a journey to actually get to the final build that I got to. But more on that in the next speed build video that I do here. Anyways, I just want to take a moment here to thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this build, if you've been enjoying this series, feel free to give this video a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Anyways, thank you so much, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.